It's live. It's live.
Okay, I guess we can begin then. Hello everyone and welcome to the IEEE Insight Talk for the CompSoc SIG. We have a few of our seniors sharing their experiences and tips with us today. First up, we have Nisar Joshi, who would be sharing his experiences through the various research internships and company internships he's taken. Nisar Joshi is has been a summer fellow at IIT Kharagpur, has been a lead developer at Q's, SD intern at Samsung Research, and has been a developer at GSOC. Currently, he has secured a placement in the company Sprinkler. Now I hand over to Nisarg, who would share his experience. Over to you, Nisarg.
All right, thanks, Manav. Okay, guys, so I'll go forward and share my screen and then we'll go ahead. It's a little weird to talk to an audience you can't see. But all right. Okay, fine. So I'll just present. Just a sec. All right. So hello, everyone. So I'm Nisarg, and I'll be talking a bit about my journey through NITK and how my life has been for past 4 years. And this series by IEEE Insight, it is meant to share our experiences, more of professional experiences rather than personal, but I'll try to give an unfiltered view so that it helps you from a perspective as a student, how my this thing has been. All right, so yeah, so I'm finally a computer science student, and my technical interests lie in the domain of software development, system design, systems, operating systems, networking, cloud. Might sound fancy terms, but I think you'll come across them and they're pretty simple and interesting things at the same time. My other interests, I really like food, trying out different kinds of food, and I am a foodie, so to say. I like reading, I don't read that much though, but I do like reading a bit from time to time. I like to discuss philosophy, read more about philosophies. I do write poems. I don't think a lot of people know that, but I do, and I don't think any of it is public, so people know it anyway. I am interested in music. I listen to a lot of music. I play a bit, not so well, but yeah, that's a bit of my background. So what I try to do is try to take you guys through my journey across the 4 years. And as I said, I'll try to keep it like a conversation. And at the same time, I try to talk about in a practical sense some of the things. Maybe give you some tips and advices that I felt. Looking back, I can comment on those things now. Yeah, so first year, I think this is one of the most special years at college because this is your first year, and I was particularly excited and a bit scared because I was starting a new life in my head. Right, this was the first time I was away from my home, and I live quite far off from where our campus is. So I was really excited for the freedom. That was one of the first things that comes to my mind when you talk about going to a hostel, to a college far from your home, and being able to live by myself. I won't be monitored. I won't be told to do anything specific. So that was what I was looking for. And the first year is generally pretty chill. I think that is what you'll hear everyone say. You get to explore a lot of things. You get to explore the quintessential college life. There are events, you meet new kinds of people, you get new experiences, and you get to explore your domain if you like to. So I did have an idea of what I was diving into. I liked computer science from before. It was my conscious choice that I picked computer science. And that was the only domain I actually wanted to work in. No other branch I wanted to go for. So I was really excited to explore that, and that's what I started doing in the first year. I was inclined towards development, software development mainly, primarily because you could see things happen on your screen and it's just nice. You could make websites, apps, whatever. So that was like a very naive reason to do it, but I really like the creativity that software dev gives you. It allows you to build something and people can instantly use it. I'm sorry. So and I'd always been interested in the idea of creating a product, and thereby a startup. And hence, I was looking around for opportunities to work on something. And I ended up joining a very early stage startup in the late October that year. It was 2017, my first year. It wasn't very official sort of a thing. It wasn't a specific internship. It was very early stage. There were like 3-4 people in the startup, and they had an idea they wanted to work on. And luckily, they found me interesting enough to let me just work. So nothing paid. Only I wanted to gain experience as a developer. So yeah, I started working as a backend dev, and I'll probably talk about this later. Apart from that, I did end up maintaining a decent CGPA. Not a very conscious effort, honestly, but in retrospect, it's something that is good. It keeps your options open, honestly. If you ever want to apply for higher education at some point, or if you want to do something else apart from just work, your college credentials might just help you. It's just a fact. So this was my first year wrapped up. I would say if I was to give advice to someone regarding what you should be doing for your first year, I think the word I'd use is explore. Explore your interests, explore your domain if you want. Don't worry about making mistakes. Don't worry about switching, trying things out. It's all right. Like first year is too early to fail. It's like that. And you don't have to pick a side. Like you don't have to say that I definitely like this thing. I definitely love this thing. This is what I want to do. I honestly think it's too early to say that sometimes, but you should keep trying stuff. So something that I've not written here is that I was also trying other domains like machine learning. I didn't do well at that, and I ended up not liking it, frankly speaking. So I am that guy who doesn't like ML in today's world, and I don't intend to work on that, generally speaking. Okay. Moving on to my second year. So this was the time when you go to your respective department, right? You start you start with your proper branch classes, and computer science for one is very competitive, highly competitive people fighting over like every small thing from marks to opportunities. I mean, you could feel that eventually over time that there is competition. I did feel a little bit of pressure. Honestly, there were really good people. It's a good thing. You should be surrounded by people who are doing well and who want to do something. But I was overall happy with what I did. Second year was mainly a confusing phase in the sense of my direction. Where should I be going next? And I did know some things that I like the startup that I joined and software dev, but I wasn't sure like what people do or what am I supposed to do. So this is the time when I seeked a lot of advice from seniors. This was also the time when I also got into IEEE as a club, and that really helped me because I got to interact with amazing seniors. So that was nice. Yeah, so I some of them told me that you should probably do CPDSA, helps you in a lot of ways. Some people talked about working on some domains, projects, etc. I ignored all the CP people, honestly, and I kept them ignoring till my third year. Bit of advice, you should not do that probably, but I did that. But yeah, so I went ahead with things that I had liked. I had liked software dev. I was starting to like the concept of systems, computer systems, operating systems. Not really good at it, but I just wanted to explore it. Database systems was my first system software that I fell in love with. Amazing, beautiful stuff, but I'll not talk about it. And that was one of the reasons why I applied to the IAS program, the Indian Academy of Sciences Summer Research Fellowship. I mean, I had a decent CGPA, and people told me that you could end up getting an internship if you write a good SOP or something. So I said that why not? If I get to work in databases, I could. So it was like my backup option, honestly. I didn't consider research as a serious thing I wanted to do. I was more into dev, I was more into entrepreneurial stuff, not much into research. But I said that let's just apply. So I ended up applying there. But my main thing that I wanted to actually do was try for quote unquote GSOC. I think a lot of people wanted to do that around that time. It is in buzz. Every year you'll see countless people in the second year actually trying to apply for that. It's a very good thing. I felt that I didn't have enough time, and I honestly was not mature enough to contribute at that level with my that skill set that I had. So good or bad, I did not end up getting GSOC. I think it was for good at that point in second year, and I went ahead with ISSRFP. Honestly, that was one of the worst experiences of my life. The summer research fellowship, just frankly speaking, because I ended up getting a domain that I was totally uninterested in. So my SOP for database systems, they took it for data sciences for some reason, and they ended up giving me a machine learning NLP, natural language processing project. I tried to, make peace with it. But as the internship went away, I just couldn't. I tried to work on. I learned quite a bit of NLP, of which I don't remember anything now. So I worked on something. I wrote code essentially. I knew how to write Python code. I knew how to write. How to use libraries. So I helped the researchers write their code. I worked on the software, etc. So I just did stuff that I liked and knew, but I actually didn't take out any research aspect of it, honestly speaking. But this gave me a lot of perspective. I knew what I did not want to do. I did not want to do ML, NLP, computer vision, a lot of these domains, although they are amazing fields by themselves, don't get me wrong. But it's just something that doesn't suit me. So that was like a personal thing that I learned. And my interest for systems grew more in this span of time. So this was about my second year, but as my second year was about to end, I mean the summer internship, obviously we have our internship drives for the third year, essentially. And I remember that I was half-heartedly preparing for it. I was juggling 2 to 3 things at this point. So I was still working with a startup. That was something that I liked. It was something that uh, in my break I could work on that because that was my comfort zone. I was working with IIT KGP, and then I had to do some interview prep. I half-heartedly did that and learned my first lesson: do not be very greedy. And do a few things really well. You don't have to do 10 things at a time. Just do one thing, but do it really well. And that applies not only to your internships, but to your projects as well, very importantly, as well as to things that you're learning. Don't be greedy to learn everything in one go. Don't be greedy to do work on every project in one go. Try to do 1 or 2 things at max and be good at it. That actually takes you far. So I learned that. I mean, right now I say I learned it, but I did not for at least 2 more years. Yeah, so I sat for the internship drive, ended up getting an offer at Samsung Research. I had mixed feelings, very frankly speaking, because I did not know what sort of Samsung is a great company, but my perspective was it's for hardware, right? Like they're really famous for the electronics and related stuff. So I did not know what sort of work they would be able to offer me. Like I don't think they had any software dev work as such. So, but I was still relieved that it was a decent offer, and I was quite happy to have secured a internship from college. So then I made peace with it, went ahead with my life, explored a lot of systems during this span of time. I went into depths of operating systems, networking, worked on quite a few projects. My IEEE project as well was around this. So I loved this time of my learning because this was a time where I actually did not worry about opportunities, internships, working, etc. for my resume, quote unquote. And I could focus on actually learning stuff. So I did that. And funnily, this was, and I was not thinking of GSOC, honestly, at that time. but things fell the way they did. And what happened was, one night I was debugging something, and I was just learning about kernel, and I ended up going to the NetBSD IRC, and I just said that, I want to contribute and learn. Those guys were very welcoming, partially because they didn't have many developers. So they were welcoming. They guided me a little, and one guy, he acted like a mentor, like a proper mentor to me, and he literally gave me tasks every day. And he was like, "If you want to contribute, you have to complete these tasks." So it was really difficult, honestly, for the first few tasks for me. I went ahead and did those things. I started contributing. I wrote some patches, very straightforward stuff. And I told them about my interest in networking, and they eventually, I ended up talking to them about GSOC, because this was around the time when we were all hit by the pandemic, and I was not really sure about my internship offer, like what would happen to it. People were speculating it could get cancelled or whatever. So yeah, the mentor, he did present the option that, you're working on something and you could apply for GSOC. And since I had been contributing for like 5 months by then, they knew me quite well. I'd done good amount of work. So I said, okay, I'll draft a proposal and I'll go ahead. So this was amazing. I went ahead, I applied for GSOC, I got in. This was the best feeling, because this time around, I honestly did not even consciously apply for GSOC, and I still got a lot of out of it. I actually got to work on a project that I loved. Like, it was something I picked. I picked something related to networking and fuzzing, something advanced for myself as well. But I learned from that. And at the same time, another good thing, Samsung research internship, I ended up working in their wireless networking section, 5G, and it was a really good experience. I had not expected that. So all in all, my third year was going quite well in this sense. Apart from that, like, my normal college life throughout the third year was quite nice. I mean, I explored a lot of things, went to quite a few places, built amazing memories in college. So that side as well. Apart from this, now we come to the final year. Again, via pandemic hit, I am working on 2 internships again and preparing for placements. So I'm back to square one, second year summer. And I had not learned my lesson apparently this time also. But I had to focus on placements, because I felt like Samsung was not going to offer me a PPO. And that was just, it was not about me, it was the company's situation. So I thought that, I should focus on my placements. I don't know what I'll end up getting. So for the next, like, for 2 to 3 months straight, I genuinely and honestly did DSA and CP, like, honest to myself. And this was the first time. And this was also a time when I remember that I should have taken the advice of some people back in the time. I don't regret it, but at least during these 2 to 3 months, I did regret it. I felt like, I am behind in this area, at least because I never prepared for it. But all in all, I think I prepared decent enough to appear for my placements and attempt the tests and interviews. And I remember Sprinkler was, so I got an offer from Sprinkler from my placement drive, and it was the second company to come on in, I think, in the ITCS placements after Atlassian. And I never expected Sprinkler to give me an offer. Honestly, last year, like last year, as in during my internships, I used to diss about Sprinkler because they used to have a very tough interview process, and I would never get in. I felt that. But this time around, when I was sitting in the interviews, the first interview, I was hoping that please don't give me the offer and just terminate this here so that I can prepare for the next company, because you're not anyway going to pick me. And for every round, I was thinking like this. But the rounds went well. I had to believe in myself, I think, more. The rounds went well, and I ended up actually getting an offer. And I can probably proudly say that I was the only one to get that offer from Sprinkler on our campus. So that was a really happy moment for me. I was really excited and relieved to not have to sit for the next companies to come. So that was a nice feeling. So yeah, my placement's done. And then yeah, the semester killed all my joy after that because there was a lot of workload. I was already running 1 month late because of placements, and I had taken up 6 courses. So the semester killed me, and IEEE is killing me partially by these events and meetings and everything virtual. And by the way, I got an incredible opportunity to chair the Computer Society at IEEE NITK. And like, not funny, but this is something that I seriously take to heart because it has given me a lot. This club has given me a lot of people, a lot of advices, a lot of seniors, amazing peers who I learn from every day. So yeah, this has been my journey. And yeah, I'll just summarize a little bit. So these are the things that I've got to work on, the opportunities that I got. Uh, so from being a backend developer to actually leading a small team, it's not a huge startup, but at some time I was leading a team of like 10 people or so on backend and front end combined. So that was a really good feeling. I not only learned technical side of things, but also I was very close to how they were running everything in the startup, like what they were thinking for funding, what they were thinking for business, marketing, etc., etc. So this sort of satisfied my entrepreneurial bug that I wanted to know how these things are done. I never ventured myself into it up till now, but this was really amazing for me. The research fellowship was another opportunity that gave me a lesson. GSOC at NetBSD was amazing. Internet Samsung research was also a good opportunity for me. And finally, the placement offer I am overjoyed about. So luckily, eventually things shaped well for me. I started to get my domain defined. I kept on working and learning things that I liked, which was systems, networking, OS. And a lot of my projects and work eventually started aligning in that direction. Uh, when I was at IIT KGP, I was a bit worried about what direction I'm going in, something I'm not liking, but something I'm having a work experience in. So not very happy at that point. But yeah, eventually I started loving systems. I have a good amount of work and project experience in these domains, and I want to continue to work in them. So a bit of piece of advice, I would say that sticking to some of the areas after you have explored your interests really helps you. You should not jump at every opportunity that comes your way. Like, if it doesn't interest you, just don't do it for the sake of your resume. Don't do it because you want to tell people you're working on something. Because you will end up having random work experiences which does not even define you. It's better to first find your areas that you like, try to align your work in that direction. That is something that I learned eventually now that I look back. And yeah, so I have always been inspired by building products and systems. I find it the most creative thing. Like, computer science is creative field for me, since it allows you to build something from scratch, out of bits and bytes, so to say, and provide so much value. So I like to build products and systems. And currently, I like to work on systems that enable other systems to do something. So stuff like libraries, tools, frameworks, system softwares like OS or cloud tools, etc. So this is just like a snapshot summary. What next? Yeah, so I actually love open source because, I mean, GSOC experience gave me that perspective. You can build awesome stuff and network with amazing people. Like, you could contribute to very amazing organizations, learn, and you can have people around you that are doing really well. So that's a great thing about open source. Then I'm obviously looking forward to starting my work at Sprinkler. I don't have any current plans for pursuing higher education at this moment. Not that I'm against it. I just want to take my time to think what I actually want to learn more or specialize in. I don't have a rush. I don't have a particular rush. Um, and something important is enjoy your life. There are other aspects to it, not just work and professional aspects. So I think I'm getting more time to myself in that domain. So yeah, that's another thing. I might want to start my own little startup or something, build a product that I really like to work on. So something like that. And yeah, hoping the pandemic to end, mainly so that I could like start a new life, just like I did with my college. And this time around, I'd be earning by myself, so I'm quite excited to start things independently. So these are my plans for next steps. Okay, there are a lot of questions that I had. These are some of the questions I personally had while I went through my second, third year, I guess. And you might also have it even if you don't know that you have them today. So I just listed them down. And I just like to talk a few points on each of these. So DSSCP versus DEV. This is something that you might come across in your 4 years. And I'd say from all of this, my personal experience, you can't take it as a benchmark advice. Every person is different. First advice is do something that you like. So if you definitely love DSSCP, just do it. Like it's a nice thing. If you like dev, then obviously you probably should do it. But most of us lie in an area where we actually don't have a very big preference. We start liking things that we start doing. So my thing would be that, DSSCP is something that is actually the fundamentals of computer science. Like it or not, even when you go on and work in a company, even though a lot of things would be dev, but you would be solving some kinds of problems with data structures and algorithms, particularly if you are working on backend logic, infrastructure, scaling systems, system design, whatever. So DSA is a very core part of computer science. I don't think you should ignore it ever. It is actually the core logic of designing stuff. And it actually is beautifully used in a lot of lower level systems. I started liking DSA when I learned about databases and operating systems, the way they use some data structures. It's beautiful. About CP is a little different. It's about the competitive programming part of it, utilizing DSA to solve some problems quickly, efficiently, etc. You can do it if you like mind puzzles and if you like to really use your brain every day, like in that direction. If you don't want to, then my advice would be just do it for about 6 months to 1 year, maybe just for your interviews. I feel like that is a tunnel that you have to go through, sadly, in today's life at least. And just don't ignore it. Like, why do you want to throw away your chances of a really good opportunity just because you dislike something too much? Second thing is research versus placements or job. I honestly can't comment on it. It's a very personal preference. My preference was not research or higher studies today. It's not that I would never like to pursue it. I am genuinely interested in a lot of technical stuff. Some of it might require me to study more. So I would say that if you want to pursue research opportunities, try to go for research internships. Like second year, go for an internship like I did, IITs, ISC, such programs. Continuing that, you would go for foreign research internships, etc. in third year. I think other seniors would talk about that in their talks. But you could go in that direction and sort of build your profile that way. But if you don't want to, then what you could do is keep that option open. That is what I sort of have done. So my CGPA is decent enough that it would allow me an option to study more if I want. I have worked on decent projects that are aligned in some areas which I can show and say that these are my areas of interest that I could want to work on. So I'm trying to keep that option open. If you would like, I would say that work on your major project seriously, and if you want, you could get a publication or something out of it, and that could help you to open your options for research. So keep that option open if you want, but you don't have to necessarily choose that. For placements, it's simple. Just have some work X, have good projects, be decently good with DSSCP, and it's very simple formula. You'll crack it. Not a big deal. How to find out what I like? Explore. That's the only answer. I think you have to try out things and you have to see how you feel. You have to talk to people and don't judge too fast, right? Don't just work on something for 15 days and be done with it. Go for a month or two at least. How important is CGPA? It depends. I would say that it never hurts to have a good CGPA. It keeps your doors open. So don't throw it under the bus. Don't neglect it completely. I would say that it doesn't take too much efforts to maintain a decent CGPA. So just don't waste it away. You will get nothing out of wasting it anyway. But you can gain something by having a good CGPA. So it is important. How important are projects? So projects are first of all important for your self learning. I believe you learn a lot when you do these things, and it's just it just molds you. It just helps you find your interest. So that way it has value. Apart from that, obviously, I think when you want to tell someone how good you are at something, you want to tell them what you worked on. So they are important, like it or not. But do them genuinely. Just don't do it on paper and show it to people. Should I intern in my second year summers? Not necessary. And I would say that it's okay. A lot of people don't, and don't go in the mad rush. Don't just jump on any opportunity like I did for IIT KGB. I could have skipped it. You too could skip your second year summers internship, but ensure that you learn something in that summer. Ensure that you become good at something so that you can utilize that in your internship drives or in future endeavors, so to say. So yeah, I am hoping to cover some of the questions here. And my final slide, I'll end it now quickly. But connecting the dots, I want to connect some dots looking backwards. There's a famous quote by Steve Jobs. I think it goes something like this: you can not connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards. So it's like once you have lived that past experience, you can connect the things together. So what did I learn over these few years is that sometimes we do need to do things that we don't particularly like, uh, just because we want a safety net. At least that was true for my case, right? I just couldn't throw everything under the bus. I would not do that. So it's just a reality. You might have to do CP for some amount of time just because it helps you get a good offer. So don't be very rigid. It's not about bending to other people. You are anyway not that powerful. None of us is at this point. So you have to learn to be flexible and smart about things. That's the first thing. Second is always try to have an overarching theme for what you're doing and why you're doing it. You should have a reason to get out of the bed. So that's what I like to tell myself, that I should have a reason to wake up every morning and do something. So have a theme. It could be anything. It could be because you genuinely love something, right? You like your work. That's something people have, or something drives you, right? You're working for a purpose, a greater purpose, so to say. Or it could even be money, right? Because money is, at the end of the day, if you don't know something specifically that you like, money can buy you a lot of things. So go for that. It's okay. So yeah, but you should have an overarching theme for something that you're doing. So keep that. Another thing is network and relations are very valuable. Something that is intangible. You cannot put a price on it, because NITK will give you this. It will give you amazing network and people. By the time you graduate, your peers would be working in amazing places, and that opens a lot of doors for you. So keep that, like try to be cognizant of that and understand the value of these things over tangible things like money and other things. Sometimes some opportunities are not for money, some opportunities are not for resume, some opportunities are for just networking. Learn to understand that. um, and yes, we are not almighty, we are just beginners, and we have to knock on every door to get our opportunities. You won't be served things on silver platter except for placements. So you'd have to go and work yourself. You'd have to go and talk to people, find out stuff, ask them for work. Don't be shy. Just go to a professor if you want to work on a project. He will not say no. I'm guaranteeing you that. Just go to a senior and tell him that you want to learn this, and he'll at least guide you to the resources. So you have to knock the doors. Things won't come to you. And a very cliched, but something that actually is true, like it or not, but you eventually at least should be loving what you're doing, or do what you love, whatever. So it's a very cliched advice, but it actually is true. If today you can't do it, maybe because you have to fulfill something else before that, but eventually that is what you should be directed towards. And at the end of the day, I just say that we are all going to die someday, and I'm not saying it in a sad way. It's a good thing. Death is fine, and we should appreciate how far we have come as humans. I'm just saying, and learn to live the journey rather than just the goals. Don't try to jump from one destination to another. That's not the goal of life. Because once you reach somewhere and you get something, that feeling stays for like some time. It's not forever. So, sorry for being distracted. So, yeah, so try to do that. Try to live your journey. And I think I consumed a lot of your time. So, thank you very much. I'll stop.
Thanks, Nisarg. Wonderful talk.
Shit. Okay, a lot
Um,
of time. Thank you.
we had one of the questions from the audience. Um, how much coding should a first year student know at the end of it? I guess you answered that through your PPT. Any other points you would like to add?
No, I think not much. First year, clean slate, just be open to learning. That's all. You should know a lot of things anyway.
Cool. I hope that answered the question. Thanks a lot, Nisarg.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have Madhuparna. Madhuparna has interned at Siemens in her second year and has interned at Google previously and is currently interning at Amazon. She has also taken up the Linux mentorship in her third year and the GSOC open source program. She is currently placed at Goldman Sachs. Over to you, Madhuparna. You could share your views now.
Yeah. Hello guys, I'm Madhuparna. I'll just quickly share my screen. Is it visible? Manav, can you confirm?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so yes, I'll just start off with my first year. So when I started college, so I'm in general a very underconfident person. So I thought that I'm probably gonna be the last person in the class and basically never get a good job or something. And so I was really scared when I started my first year. So all that I did in my entire first year, in a short summary, was just study. So I was in my room. I didn't even have many friends back in first year. So I just studied. So now when I think about my first year, I can only see the Thomas Calculus book and the NITK library. So yeah, so that's what my first year was mostly. But okay, so then I ended up getting a pretty good CGPA after my first semester, and that's when I started getting a little bit more confident that I can do it. So probably I'm not going to be the last person in the class, of course. Yeah, and apart from just doing the regular coursework, the only other thing that I did was competitive programming. So I was into CP and so I also took up this the web club CP mentorship and in that year December, and that was pretty helpful. Am I still audible?
Yes, you're
Man?
audible.
Okay, great. Yeah, so in the December also I did competitive programming because that's what I heard from the seniors that CP is going to help you get a good job, and that's all I was aiming for when I started my college life at NITK. And yeah, apart from that, IEEE Inside is a flagship event of IEEE, and we have it every year. So even I attended when I was in my first year, and it was in the beginning of the first semester, somewhere in August. So the one tip that I still remember from the inside talk was, so if you really want a good GPA, just go get it. And I thought, okay, this is a pretty useful tip, and that's what I did. So I just worked hard throughout my entire first year to get a good GPA, and it really helps. And I'll show you in the later slides that how it's really important to always maintain a good CGPA, because let it be first year or second year, it's gonna add up to it, and it will be helpful. Okay, so after that, after my first year, so in the summers, so I didn't do an internship after first year. It's anyways very difficult to get one after first year. So I joined all these mentorship programs from whichever club I could join. So for IEEE, you need to be a student member, otherwise you don't get to be a part of the mentorship program. So that's why apart from that, for all the other clubs, I just joined their mentorship program. So as you can see, I've mostly did like stuff related to data science and machine learning, and also like the Andrew NG course, because one of my seniors just told me about it, and it's free and everyone just does it after their first year. So I kind of did all this, and also the courtship summer mentorship that was also about competitive programming. So that's all I did in my first year and in the summer. I was not really into a specific field or so, but I just kind of liked exploring machine learning at that point of time. Okay, so next in my second year, so as we all know, so when in the third semester the club recruitment starts, and it's actually a really good practice for your placement season, because the kind of stress and pressure you have during that time is exactly similar to what you'll have in your after in your third year when you have the placement season. So yeah, so I wrote all the the test for the different clubs, and finally got into IEEE. And I was also so I also got into Web Enthusiast Club, and these two clubs, like uh, today whatever I am, I think it's because of the seniors I know from these two clubs. So it's really really helpful if you join clubs and get to know some seniors, because they are going to guide you. So that is something really important. So if you're in first year, so do apply for the clubs next year. And uh, yeah, that's it from that. And yeah, so next, so as far as, so most of the people know, they try to do some kind of an internship after second year, and I really wanted it, like really badly. So I kind of started preparing right from my third semester, preparing my resume, etc. And I applied for this Google Step internship thing, I think in Singapore or something, and I did not get it, of course. I also applied for IAS. I did not get that as well. And then I was also applying for a few other internships. So I was cold mailing professors. I applied for Narendra, which is the summer internship program for IISc, then IIT BHU, GSOC, and I did not get in all of these. So my second year was not really going that well, okay, apart from the CGPA part, which I don't know how I just got a 10, and that really helped improve the CGPA, because when you're applying for so let's say internships in your third year, so most people, if they do not have an internship after second year, the only other thing you have good on your resume can be your GPA, right? So there isn't anything else at that point of time. Yeah, so then finally I got into Siemens and I joined that. Yeah. So I had also gotten an offer from Triple IT Hyderabad, but I did not really like that work, and I also got homesick there, so I just came back to Bangalore and then joined Siemens, and that was really a good decision, because that's literally my only internship experience at the office. Because of this COVID situation, I never got to go to the other office after my third year. So that was a pretty good experience. Yeah, and then third year, and of course the 2020 has to be in red, because it kind of ruined a lot of excitement that I had. So in my fifth semester, so first of all, on campus I got an offer from RCCM. That was like a coding test and two interviews. And then that year itself, so Google had come to different campuses, and they first of all shortlisted students based on resume screening, and then there were two interviews. So through that I got a summer internship offer from Google, and of course I chose the Google one. And I also got a semester long summer internship offer with Amazon Web Services. That was an off campus offer. So usually in off campus there are more number of rounds. So I have summarized all of it. Yeah, and that's how my fifth semester was, and I was genuinely really really excited to. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. Yeah. So I was really excited to go to the Google office and have that experience. But then of course COVID. So that's the March 2020 mark where things just fell apart. Yeah, but apart from that, I was also interested in operating systems related stuff. So I had applied for the Linux kernel mentorship program with the Linux Foundation, and this is literally one of the hardest internship that I've ever worked on. The kind of work that they do, it's really, really interesting and hard as well, especially the project I was working on. So that is literally one of the best experiences I have had. Yeah, and then here is the thing. So that semester, after the the online thing started, my so because of the online semester, things were quite unpredictable, and my CGPA kind of dropped. So it was below 9 for the first time. So the key takeaway from this is that anything can happen, right? In one semester you may fall ill and you may just screw up your GPA. So just don't really think that it's okay to, maintain a decent one and just let it go. If you can get if you can get good scores in, exams just by studying for, a few hours before the exam, just do it, because it's going to help you later. Because ultimately, if you're, let's say, going for higher studies, it really matters. So that's one key takeaway. And I had also applied for GSOC that year. That was as just same as Nisar. We were all just scared about, getting our offers revoked because of the pandemic. So I just ended up applying for GSOC, and luckily I got it this year. So yeah. And then in the summers after my third year, so I was working on the GSOC project, but my mentor was really, really nice. He understood that I'll be having another internship, plus even the college, we had our exams in June. So because of all that, he was really understanding. So I mostly worked in April and then in July and August. So that was fine. And then other time I worked for my Google internship, and that was a really good experience, even though everything was remote, but still it was a good experience. And now coming to my final year, yeah, so the placement season, we got a full-time offer from Goldman Sachs. And now even with Amazon Web Services, I'm currently working remotely because of the pandemic, of course, and my internship will be ending next month. And yeah, so this is my current CGPA. So, and it really matters. So see, for if you're applying for jobs, so usually people say that if you just want to go for jobs, it doesn't really matter that much. But honestly, in a lot of, so let's say getting shortlisted for the Google internship, having a good CGPA helps, because at the end of the day, if you have a lots of resumes and you just want to pick someone, the easiest way to sort everyone is through their GPA, right? So it helps. So just try to maintain it. Yeah, now eighth semester, it's an empty slide because it's gonna be that way. I'm not gonna do much, just gonna enjoy. Okay, now just coming to the final key takeaways. So first thing, maintain a good CGPA, because as I've already told, even a one math semester can ruin stuff. So just keep meaning, even if you're in first year, keep this in mind. And apart from that, do what you like. So I was initially into machine learning stuff in my second year, and then I slowly switched to systems related stuff in my third year. That was kind of late, because usually people do that stuff from their first year, so they have like 3 to 4 years of experience. But I started going into system in my third year, so I had only 1.5 year to build a decent a decent resume and a decent portfolio to apply for masters. So but anyways, I went for it because I knew that in the long run, I do not think I can continue with machine learning stuff, and I really liked systems. So it's never too late to try out something that you really like, so just go for it. Yeah, and apart from that, so as you see that I have done just too many internships this year particularly, and it may look like that okay, it's great that you have a good profile and you're learning a lot, but to be honest, it's really, really hectic, and you do not get to explore a lot, in the sense you're only working on a certain project, so you're going in depth into one area, but you're not getting a lot of time to explore other stuff. So that's one disadvantage of just doing too much internships. So this entire year I was just doing internships. So that's one thing. So, and especially do not take like more than one internship at a time. You'll just end up screwing both. And yeah, and finally have fun. So in my first year, I was just too scared. I didn't even have friends, didn't really go out a lot, and didn't really enjoy my college life, because I heard from a lot of IT seniors that your final semester is going to be chill. So I could do everything that I want in my final year. And here I am sitting at my home. So you never know what's going to happen in the future. So just enjoy whenever you get time. Okay, that's it from my side. Any questions, Manav?
I do not see any questions on the chat as of now.
Okay, then I think we can
Yeah.
go ahead with the next speaker.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much
Bye.
for your great talk. Next up, we have Nishant Subramaniam, who's going to give us an insight into the research based fields. Nishant has interned at IIT Madras in his second year winter. He then was awarded the IAS fellowship, and he interned at IIT Kharagpur. He was also a Dadwai scholar in his third year, and he has now been placed at Cisco Systems. Nishant, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, my name is Nishant Subramanian. Today I'm just going to give you a short overview of my experience at NITK. It's going to be pretty short. I'm not going to bore you guys. So yeah, who am I? So yeah, I am a final year undergrad majoring in CSE. My current GPA is 9.74. And why are you listening to me? Because, well, I have a bit of experience in research. That's what I like to believe. Yeah, I interned at IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur, and I'm currently interning at TU Berlin in Germany. I'm also heading the computer science group at ACM and ITK, and I'm executive member of Web Club. Yeah, and as I'm a final year, you usually get placed. So yeah, I am placed at Cisco Systems. I'll talk about that. It's a funny story. I'll talk about that a bit later. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a similar template to what Nisar and Madhupurna did. Like I'm just going to give you an overview of my journey through first year to fourth year. So in my first year, when I came, I had zero experience in computer science. Uh, like I had not touched computer science even in my pre-university or school. So when I came here, it was very intimidating to see all my classmates already coding and doing stuff. I didn't even know. Uh, I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to print like hello world. So it was pretty intimidating. So the first thing I decided after coming to NITK was to explore. So like as soon as I came, I started learning computer science, the different fields. The first thing I got into was development. Web development and app development. This is the first thing that I got into. I started learning how to code. And yeah, eventually at the end of my first year, along with like, I did a few summer mentorship programs by clubs. I took all of that. And at the end of my first year, I interned at Iris as a software development intern. Basically, I worked on front end development. And to be very honest, it was like, it was something I did not at all like. And then I realized this only after experiencing it. The thing is, I couldn't have known this if I had not experienced an internship or like a major project on this. So after that experience, I mean, like the experience was good, meaning I learned a lot, but it was definitely something I did not want to, pursue my career in. So at the end of my first year, I eliminated one of the fields of computer science from my career, goals. Like development is not something which I did not want to do. So that was my first year in summary. Basically, intimidation, exploration, and then like you learn what you didn't want to do. So that was my basic summary. And then after I entered second year, one major thing which I cannot stress upon enough is one important thing I did was to network with people. That is to talk to seniors, talk to professors on what you want to do. Like I think Nisarg already mentioned this, that you shouldn't jump into a field that you're not interested in. So you should try to explore as much as possible, and then you can, settle. So I wanted to know what I'm interested in, and there was no way of doing this without like, actually experiencing it. So my first intuition was, okay, let's just go with research. Like, let me try it out. So I spoke to seniors, and one of my seniors actually told me, why don't you just, if you're interested in research, why don't you intern somewhere in the winter? I didn't know this was a possibility because people usually don't intern in the winter. It's only a month, and people usually want to just chill at home. So yeah, he told me this. He said, I mean, if you want to explore, you can just do it in the winter. And then I was like, okay, how do I do that? And then this is how I started interacting with people, and I learned how to, mail professors, how to speak to them, how to collaborate with people over projects. This was the beginning. So he told me just draft a mail and send it over to me. And then I did that. I drafted a mail, I sent it over to him. I made my resume, I sent it over to him, reviewed it. And then like within a week, I had an offer from IIT Madras to intern over the winter. So that's how it all started. And then I did not expect this because, sometimes you need some guidance to instill some self-confidence that okay, there is an opportunity somewhere that you can grab, because I never knew this was possible. Like you can intern over the winter, you can actually mail professors as a second year with no experience. So this was nice. So I interned at IIT Madras under Panduranga. So the thing is, it was only a month long, so I did not expect much out of this. Meaning, I just wanted to learn and like experience the research field for the first time. Surprisingly, at the end, I did get some substantial results, so that was good. So my main focus was cryptocurrency, and that was like my kind of inclination into crypto. Uh, Cryptography is currently my major core interest. So yeah, that was my second year up till winter, and then eventually I liked that research feeling. I liked it. I mean, the fact that I was working with PhD students, master students, interacting with them, learning, sitting and reading papers every day, it was very interesting to me. And luckily, I just got an opportunity to work at IIT Kharagpur for the next summer through the IAS fellowship. The IAS fellowship, I won't go too much into detail. It's basically like a fellowship for second years and third years mainly. Uh, all you need is like a good SOP and like the willing to fill a form basically. Yeah, you need to write a statement of purpose, which is basically trying to convince the academy that you're good enough for the scholarship and why they should give it to you. And you need a letter of recommendation from a professor from your experience. Like I think I took it from one of the professors in my department itself. So yeah, that was the basic thing. It was very simple to apply, so I did apply, and I got it. And yeah, that was I think my first introduction into core cryptography in IIT Kharagpur. There was a problem there though. The problem statement that I was working on was way too complex, meaning I did not understand more than half the thing that was going on in the paper. And there was 2.5 months, and that was definitely not enough for me to uh, try to get some substantial result out of it. We did do some work, but then it was not enough. So I decided, okay, let me just go back to IIT Kharagpur over the winter again. And well, that's what I did. So at the end of, I mean, at the end of that year, that winter, third year winter, I went back to IIT Kharagpur, and we did some great work. We did like we managed to get two separate results, which is very fascinating to me. That's possible in 1 month. So that was very interesting. And yeah, the third year I spent doing two things mainly. One is to explore, that is to learn more things, because I felt like I knew only like a few fields, and I shouldn't settle so early. So I kept exploring systems, networking, and all of that. So that's one thing I did. And second thing I did was to try to interact more with professors and apply to internships for my next year summer. So I made a lot of professors in my the beginning of my third year actually. Yeah, and well, mailing is hard and you usually don't get replies. And yeah, I didn't get any positive reply. I think I got one, but it was it was not feasible, and I couldn't go. So yeah, and then I applied to the Dardwise scholarship, which is a scholarship to, I mean, awarded to students to work in Germany as an intern. So yeah, I won't go too much into detail on how to apply, but the basic gist is, well, you need to have a good GPA, unfortunately, because they focus on GPA mainly, and you need to write a statement of purpose similar to the Indian Academy of Sciences Fellowship, and you need to get an acceptance from a professor in a German university before you apply. Meaning you need to mail the professors basically, and they should accept you to the university. Then only you can apply to the scholarship. So that's the basic idea. And well, yeah, this was third year was the peak of my exploration, meaning I kept on exploring. I think I explored most of the fields in computer science. Right now, I haven't explored everything, but I.
Live streaming is on.
Yes, you can continue now.
Okay, great. So what I was saying was, yeah, that is the gist of the Dardwise scholarship, and yeah, at the third year, I started exploring a lot, and well, I explored most of the fields in computer science, and yeah, that was a very interesting time. There was a problem though. At the end of my third year, I still did not know what I wanted to do, Basically, you at one point you have to choose whether you want to do a master's or you want to work. So I still did not know what to do. And if you ask me today, I still do not know what to do. But that's okay. I can tell you it's okay. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do. Uh, After my third year, I was still deciding whether to sit for placements or apply to masters. I kept talking to people. Um, in my final year, I think I sat for placements with a very not very. I had not prepared at all, and it was a very funny story. The I sat for Cisco. I mean, that was my first interview I got, and so I sat for it, and he asked me a few DSA questions. That is data structures and algorithms for those who don't know. So I didn't know any of them because I never prepared or I was never interested in comparative programming or anything of that sort. So I didn't know any of them. And then the thing is, Cisco Systems mainly focuses on systems and networking. They don't care so much about comparative programming. So that was good. So he asked me a networks question, and I basically explained the entire computer networks course to him in less than 10 minutes. And he was very impressed, obviously, because I knew the very detailed. I gave a very detailed explanation, basically. And I think that's the only good thing about my interview. I didn't get any of the DSA questions, or because I told him he asked me to can you code this? I said no, I don't know how to code. That was literally my answer. And the good part is he liked how my networks and systems knowledge was really good. So yeah, that was a funny story. And yeah, I got placed at Cisco Systems. So yeah, and final year, right now I am currently remotely continuing my work at TU Berlin. It's a long process. We are still trying to figure out some things. So yeah, I'm still working there. And yeah, that's about it for my experience. Uh, I have a few tips for you, which I followed and like I wish I knew when I was a junior. First thing is, you don't have to choose your area of interest really fast. Don't settle that early. Right now, if you ask me, I still haven't settled anywhere. Like, if you ask me next year, my interest will probably be something totally different from what I'm doing this year. That's because I haven't explored like more than 50% of the field. So I'm ready to explore. I think that's like the main thing, to be actually eager to explore more and more. So to do that, you need to try everything, because there's no way of knowing whether you like something or not without trying it, right? Like, remember I told you I interned at Iris my first year. It was not a bad idea because I found out what I didn't want to do, and right now I know I don't want to do development. So it's a step. So that's one of the tips. Secondly, maintain a good GPA. There are a few people who are going to come to you and tell you GPA doesn't matter. I'm telling you from my experience in research specifically, you need to have a good GPA to, get opportunities. Like, for example, you don't want to lose out on opportunities just because you have a low GPA. And maintaining a good GPA, I would say, it's not like a uphill task if you do your homework. People are usually lazy, and that's why your GPA drops. So that's one thing. Thirdly, keep your resume presentable. By this, I mean, don't mention unnecessary details in your resume, like the one in the meme here. Like, don't do that. Just mention things that you were proud of and you want your recruiter to see. And use LaTeX and not Google Docs. That's an important thing. Otherwise, people judge you. It's basically, your resume is like a first impression, like the first impression the professor or the recruiter gets on you. So you don't want to spoil that by putting your picture on the resume, or don't make mistakes like this. So I could go on and on about resume building, etc. But let's save that for something else. You can contact me later for resume tips, etc. That's okay. So yeah, and the next step is very important. Do lots of projects, right? Over 4 years, you'll have tons of opportunities to do projects. You have so many opportunities. In your second year, you have an opportunity to join your club, and you get to do a club project like over 2 years or a year. So that's very useful. You can, if you actually do something useful, it's resume worthy. That is, adds to your profile as well. So secondly, you can approach a professor. I can speak for the CS and IT department in NITK. They're very approachable. If you go to them and tell them, You want a project, they will give it to you, and they don't expect you to do great things as well. Like as long as you learn, it's fine. So that's what I like about especially the computer science department. Like they don't expect you to get results immediately. At least some of the professors, they just want you to learn, and that's very important. So you can do that, and you can do self made projects as well. I mean, you can just read a paper, implement it, etc. So doing a lots of projects actually helps you build your profile and helps you learn. So that's useful. And lastly, I think I've stressed on this before as well. Network with people, talk to seniors. Like for example, till today, from my second year till today, I've always bugged my seniors for help. I've always asked them to review my resume, review my statement of purpose. I've always I've asked them all silly questions which I want clarified immediately. And that helps. It helps you realize that there are some things good and some things bad, and you shouldn't do this, you should do this. So these are things that are very important, that I would say is to talk to your seniors, talk to professors. For example, I've gone to my professor's cabin and spoke to him for like 4 hours just about life, and like he just gave me career advice, and that's actually helpful. At one point, like it actually helped me take a decision somewhere. So it's useful. So don't stop yourself from networking and talking to people. So yeah, that's what I would say. I think that's about it from me. You can reach out to me on email or WhatsApp. I'm always open to questions, reviews, anything you guys want. It's fine. Is there any questions in the chat?
I don't find any relevant questions right now.
Oh,
Thank you so
okay.
much. Thank you so
Okay.
much for your talk, Nishant.
Yep. Thank you.
Um, Next up, we have Arpita. Arpita has interned at ISC before. She has interned with Google and Perpule. In the domain of open source, she has done the GSOC program and is currently doing the Linux mentorship program. She is placed at Include as well. Over to you, Arpita.
Hi, thank you for the introduction, Manu. Okay, so um, yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Arpita Raghunandan. I'm in final year IT, and I will be talking to you about my journey over the last 3.5 years. A little bit about me is my current CGPA is 9.28. I am the vice chairperson of IEEE NITK. I'm the systems chair at Web Enthusiasts Club, and I have internship experience in open source, in research at an MNC and at a startup. And the main reason behind this is because I really didn't know which I would like. So I thought the best way to figure that out is to explore. So coming to my first year, the one thing that I did was I tried out a lot of new different things, both tech and non-technical. I was like this new excited kid in college, and uh, there was a lot of freedom. So I just tried out a lot of different things, and slowly I started exploring different technical stuff as well. I tried out a bit of DSA and also a bit of app dev. So yeah, there are a lot of clubs at NITK, and they keep having events throughout the year, and I attended a lot of these by almost all the clubs. And this is like the best way to meet people and actually figure out what you like. And at that point, I heard of Web Club, and I ended up attending a lot of their events. And then a lot of those things that I learned actually went right over my head, but it was still a good insight into what I could expect from computer science and IT and the different domains that I could begin exploring. And at the end of first year, all these exclusive clubs hold summer mentorship programs. And I attended a few by some clubs, and this actually helped me go into depth in some fields like cryptography, reverse engineering, and machine learning. And towards the end of first year, I had a slight inclination towards the systems domain, which is what I tried out throughout my next few years. Now, the beginning of second year, the most hyped thing that happens at NITK is the club recruitments. Everyone wants to get into a club of their choice. If you do, great. If you don't, also it's completely fine. For me, I really wanted to get into IEEE and Web Club The main reason for this was I had met some seniors of these clubs through the events before, so I knew they were doing some really cool stuff, and I really wanted to like interact with them and learn from them. And yeah, I did get into these clubs. The major change that happened from first year to second year was entering IT department, and then suddenly we were like dumped with so many projects to do, and it's honestly really hard to complete so many projects well. So my suggestion would be to actually do some of them well, at least if not all. And like a lot of other second years, I wanted to do an internship, so I started look for various opportunities. At that time, I was slightly inclined towards research. So I talked to a few seniors and they told me that I could cold mail profs and um, try to get internships. So I did cold mail one prof at IIT Madras, and he was nice enough to offer me an internship. But he said I would have to take care of accommodation, etc., myself. So I was still looking for other opportunities. And in my first year, like through Hacktoberfest, I was introduced to open source. So I also found out about GSOC that way, and I really wanted to apply for GSOC. So I was started off by looking at some beginner-friendly orgs and started contributing to them. And eventually, I found CERN HSF, and they had this nice, interesting project in compiler technology. And I was doing a course on that as well at that point. So it seemed interesting enough, and I contacted the mentors. And then it started off with them giving me some small tasks to complete, and we went on interacting for a while, and I really liked it. And then I made my proposal and submitted it. And once that was done, the Narendra Samar internship program applications were open. This opened sometime around March, April, and it is usually for the computer science automation department at IISc. And the application form is just one simple Google form which expects you to fill in details like your areas of interest and your past experiences, projects, etc. So I did that, and my profile was a match to one of the professors there. So he had some work in the areas that I liked, and it required some concepts that I had used in an earlier project, which is why I said it's important to work on some projects well. So I had a small interview where we talked about those concepts as well as some few questions on C pointers, and they were happy, and I got that internship. And a week later, I also got accepted for GSOC. So now I was like really confused as to what to do, if I should do both or just one. And I talked to a lot of people, and my seniors, yeah, they in fact encouraged me to take up both these internships, and I ended up doing both for that summer. CERN HSF, the experience was really amazing because not only did I get to learn a lot, things that I wouldn't have even learned on campus, but it also gave me a chance to network with some really amazing people who are like really good in their field and like are always willing to help. So it was a great experience. And at IISc, I mainly worked with my mentor who was an old PhD student of the prof I was interning under, and I got to work with the prof mainly towards the last 2 weeks of my internship. That too was a good experience for me, and both of these were slightly in the systems domain, so I really enjoyed these experiences. Now, because of the hectic summer that I had, I really had no time to prepare for the internship season that happens in the beginning of third year. But I was lucky enough to get two offers, one from Amazon, one from Google, both on campus. So the Amazon process is an online coding test which had two DSA questions and a few MCQs, and that was followed by one interview. And in the interview, we mainly talked about my interests in uh, my previous work, and then it was a DSA question, and I was offered the internship. At Google, the standard procedure is resume shortlisting and two interviews, both 45 minutes each and completely DSA. My previous experiences really helped in my resume getting cleared for the Google shortlist. And the first interview went well. The For the second interview, there was some kind of misunderstanding with the programming language I was using. So I ended up getting a very language specific question which I could not answer at that point. So I ended up having a third interview, which went well, and I got the offer. Then throughout the rest of my third year, I just worked on some projects and explored different areas in computer science because that's pretty important. And yeah, then it suddenly abruptly ended, and everything was like pretty uncertain as to whether the internships would work out or not. So at around that time, there was some spam message in one of our class groups saying if you're interested to intern at the startup by an NITK alumnus perp, you could like fill this form, and I did, and I ended up getting that. So I interned there for 1 month. This was a good experience because it really gave me a feel of how it is to work in a startup, and there's like a lot of responsibility, and interns get a lot of work then. um, then but this was only for 1 month because my Google internship was going to start in May. And yeah, so the months of May to July, I worked on my Google internship. This was again a good experience. I got to meet some really amazing people. I was like really proactive in talking to different Googlers and like attending sessions and figuring out how their systems are designed, etc. And yeah, I set up meets with random people so I could interact with different people and learn about how their life at Google has been. Following this, even before the final year began and the placement season began, I was already looking for opportunities. And at that time, because I had attended some workshop by Intuit, I got a mail saying if you're interested in an offer, fill this form, and I did. And I ended up getting a coding test, and this had about 4 questions. Once this was done, I had 2 rounds of interviews. And the best thing about these interviews were they focused more on my interests and previous work experiences rather than the and my projects rather than the DSA aspect of it. So it went well for me, and I ended up getting the offer. Because of this, I did not really sit for the placement season, which happens on campus. Then, like earlier, Madhu had had done the Linux kernel mentorship program in spring. So the fall season was coming up, and I found an interesting project, and I applied for this, and I got accepted. The application period for this was really interesting. I found it really interesting. I got to learn a lot. And even throughout the entire project, I kept learning. It was like pretty challenging, and like there were so many suggestions for changes coming from different places in the world. It was like really intimidating, but at the same time, it was one of the best experiences that I've had. And my mentor was also extremely nice and supportive. Um, Now, based on all these experiences that I have had, I have a few tips and views on certain topics that people often ask me about. So, when it comes to your CGPA, I'd say try to keep it as high as you can because, like um, Nishant and Madhu pointed out, the higher it is, the better. Then, when it comes to DSA and CP, I think these are like very important and there's no way around it. Like DSA is like something very fundamental that you need like in every aspect of computer science. So if you're someone who's even remotely interested in CP, definitely try it out, because if you do well in CP, your DSA basics are pretty strong. And if you're someone like me who isn't really into CP, there is still no way around DSA. You have to practice it a lot because this is what they ask you in interviews, both on campus and off campus at companies. Keep your GitHub, LinkedIn, other social media up to date, and yeah, make yourself noticed, because that's the only way you can get different opportunities. There are a lot of events which happen on campus and off campus, hackathons, conferences. Take part in those. These are the best opportunities through which you can actually network and meet different people, and at the same time learn about like the current research in different computer science fields. So it's very important. And yeah, like there's no way for you to really figure out what your area of interest is. It's so the only thing you can do is explore and try different things and see what you like best. um, and you have to like work hard and look for opportunities. Nothing is going to come knocking on your door like if you really want to do something, you will have to work hard and look out for opportunities. You'll have to look out for something that works for you. And when I say work hard, it doesn't mean like you just do that and nothing else. College life experience is really amazing, and I've had an amazing 3.5 years. So there are a lot of things to do in and around NITK. So go out, have fun, enjoy your life, and at the same time work hard and keep trying to get better. And like the other speakers have said, the most important thing is networking. It is very, very important to talk to seniors, batchmates, juniors, profs. Expand your network even beyond NITK. And this is the only way you can like find out about different opportunities that exist. And if you're a part of a club, networking becomes pretty easy. And honestly, a lot of the opportunities that I've had today, I wouldn't have had if not for the network of seniors that I met at my clubs. And another important thing is like for things like when you make a resume or before interviews, you can take mock interviews by seniors, get your resumes reviewed, etc. All this is important because it helps point out things that you may have unintentionally missed out. But at the same time, you need to be aware and like learn to figure out what advice works best for you. Like, don't blindly listen to others. Definitely ask for advice, but pick out what works for you. And a lot of times when you, even if you work hard, like there are going to be rejections and failures, but you just have to learn from them and keep trying. You should not let that really bring you down, because it's not really easy. I applied for a lot of internships and ended up doing this back. So it is not going to be easy. So you have to just keep trying no matter what. And here are my contact details. You can feel free to contact me at any time if you have any questions or anything. And yeah, that's it for me today. Are there any questions?
Nope, I don't see any questions as such. Thank you so much, Arpita, for sharing your insights
Thank you.
through your experiences. Now we have a last speaker for the day, which is Saurabh Agarwal. Saurabh has interned at Binay's Labs, a startup before this. He has even taken up the MLH fellowship and has done an internship at Visa. He's currently placed at Oracle. Apart from that, he was even part of the Smart India Hackathon 2020 winning team and a first runner-up at the Hackers 2020 hackathon. Over to you, Saurabh.
Thanks, Mana, for that intro. So, yep, so I'll just start. Manav, can you confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So, hello everyone. So, yep, so I'll start now. Before starting, I would like to share a weird hobby of mine which I've been following. I had a hobby of collecting empty pens when they got over since the time I was preparing for JE. And, yep, this was my collection when I was preparing for JE. I have used so many pens while I was preparing for it, and I never threw them. I just wanted to compare. And the difference comes here. In my first 3 years of college, I have just used this much. And in my final year, this is a single pen which I used last semester. Hopefully, it will go on for the next semester and after that. Yep, this is how life changes when you come from JE preparations before getting into college, then and after getting into college. This has been my case, but this doesn't mean that that this was in terms of academics. Like the academic workload, okay, it decreases and it depends on your interest. But there were other works and there were many other opportunities which could have been seized, and that's where everyone has to work upon while in college. So I'll just start with it. Before that, about me. I'm an expert in procrastination. I have a terrible handwriting, and I love roaming around. Yep. Okay. Before you all feel this way, let me move on to something which we are actually here for. Yeah. So yeah, I am in final year IT. I am currently the Microsoft Learn student ambassador from NITK. I am the head of development SIG in Web Club, which is also known as the Google DSC. I'm the website administrator of AF. You might be wondering that AF has no website, but yeah, it is under development and you'll be seeing it soon. And yeah, I'm the TEMS ambassador for IEEE and ITK, and some work is going on. Therefore, TEMS is basically the Technical and Engineering Management Society, and my CGPA is 8.74, and rank, let's not discuss about that. So I'll talk about my take on GPA and a few other stuffs as we move forward. But let me first start with my journey. My journey in first year. So in first year, I was quite an active guy who used to participate in all the events happening in the college, be it of any club. I just loved exploring, and the benefit of that was that in my first year, I came to know about different clubs in the college, and the most important benefit which I felt that I got in my first year due to this active participation in events was that I developed some great contacts. I came to know about a few great seniors, and that has always helped me in some point of time throughout my journey over this past 4 years. So this was my first year. Yeah, in second year, there were club recruitments. I joined two clubs. The first one was IEEE and Web Club. In my first year, I also joined AF. I'll talk about more about the clubs I was part of a bit later. But yeah, in second year, these were the clubs. And talking about my internships, so this Binais is a startup which is based in Bangalore. And a senior friend, IEEE CompSoc, posted about an internship opening here in one of the club groups. So I just applied through him in this startup. The procedure was that there was one telephone call where they learned came to know more about me. They asked me a few questions, my interests, and such general stuff. And secondly, they gave me an assignment which had to be completed over a week. So I just completed that assignment, and so it was the assignment in machine learning, and this is where I started exploring machine learning. So I completed that assignment. I got selected for it, and I did 8 weeks of internship here. So the internship mostly covered sales forecasting for a retail brand. So that was the internship, and yeah, I had a great experience there, and I learned a lot of things. The mentors were quite supportive. Yeah, since it is a startup, and as Arpita told previously, that in startups there are times when there is enough workload. So there were times I was awake till 4 a.m. in the morning also, and there were times that for the whole day I didn't work at all. So startup is a dynamic thing, and it is a great learning experience, and it completely tests you up to puts you in a lot of pressure and tests you when required. Moving on, so in my third year, I got a few opportunities. The first one was at IIT Bombay. I did this during the winter vacation. So during September, I mailed a prof in IIT Bombay, Professor Kanan Modgalia. He's the founder of the FOSSI, which I am not sure if you have heard of. FOSSI is basically a lot of open source projects are carried out by FOSSI. It is an organization within IIT Bombay. And so, yeah, he was the founder of it. And I mailed him. First time I didn't got a reply. And after 10 days, I sent him a reminder and expressed my interest. I sent my resume and looked into one of the project which was available under him. And I expressed my interest in working on that project. And luckily for a second time, he replied back and he scheduled a few calls and he gave me a few assignments. So I completed that assignments, and then I finally got the fellowship there at IIT Bombay, which I did in my winter vacation of the third year break, which was 1 year before. Then I got an internship offer from Visa in the on-campus internship, which was in August 2019. So I've wrote in detail about my the selection procedure all in the IRIS Gyan. You can maybe have a look at it, but I'll speak about it briefly here. So the first round was a typical CP round. There were around 3 questions, and so that had to be done. And once that was clear, there was a second round of interview. In Visa, there was just a single round of interview, and they shortlisted 30 people for it, out of which they selected total of 10. In the interview, they just asked few basic DSA questions and a few real life questions, which had to be solved using logic. So this was the selection procedure for Visa, and my internship experience at Visa it was like, since it happened over the past summer only, so it was a virtual one, so we didn't got a chance to work on any real life project, but we worked on few we learned a lot about the payment ecosystem, how the payment ecosystem completely works. We were assigned few mentors to clear our doubts, and from the technological perspective, it was quite fascinating to see how the transactions are being processed in such a short time, how the networks work, and Visa is having its own separate network for processing all the transactions worldwide. So it was quite fascinating experience there. Yeah, I didn't spoke about my experience at IIT Bombay. So in IIT Bombay, I worked on a project for developing a GUI for a chemical simulator which was being used. So I worked with tools like PyQt and all, and I had supportive mentors with me. And Professor Kanan was also regularly reviewing the project and providing his feedback. Since it was a great project, and many others were also working on it, so it displayed a great teamwork, and it was a fun experience there. So it was just for 5 weeks, and in between this 5 weeks, I even got a chance to attend a mood in over there, which was really amazing. Yeah, and finally, yes, major league hacking. So I got selected for the MLH fellowship, which is basically can be dubbed as a GSOC by GitHub. So this was the first time where MLH fellowship was organized due to the pandemic. The idea came to them due to the pandemic, and luckily I got selected into it. I was one among the 150 applicants selected from 20,000 applicants worldwide from around 30 countries. So the procedure for it was that coincidentally this was posted by a junior in one of the club groups. This was the web club group. He posted about this opportunity and I just applied for it. And then the procedure for it was that in the first round they did a telephonic round to see to get to know more about it. And then second round, they asked me to demonstrate a project of my own. They gave me a choice, and I selected a project and demonstrated it. They went too depth. They went too deep into the questions of that particular project. But luckily, that project was completely done by me, so I was able to answer them all, and I got selected for it. The experience here was really amazing. It was around a 12-week fellowship, and between there was a 1 week of one complete week for hackathon as well. So in this MLH fellowship, I worked on the Jest project, Jest open source project, which is a testing library maintained by Facebook. We were divided into few pods. Pods is basically a group of 10 people, and there were and each pod is mentored by a professional. So my mentor was from UK. He's a professional developer there in Dev, so Race.dev. So he was mentoring us, and there was a few issues with the Jest maintainers wanted to solve, like we got a chance to interact with the Just maintainers itself, with the whole Facebook team, the React Native team. There were regular meetings with them, the review meetings and all, and they used to provide their suggestion, and they used to provide some great feedback. So it was really a nice experience, and in this process, I got to learn a lot. So yeah, this was my MLH fellowship journey, and finally during my final year, I got placed in Oracle through the on-campus placement. And the selection procedure for it was again, first there was a coding round, and then coding round it comprised of CP, DSA, and some logical questions as well, and some general aptitude questions as well. So these were there in the coding test, and then it was followed by 3 rounds of interviews, and with each round the difficulty of the interview got increased. So the 3 rounds were done, and finally I got an offer at Oracle. Now, I'll be talking about something which people generally don't talk about. Like, it's very rarely that a few people talk about. The nose before that is seeing all these experiences of me and the previous speakers who have given their talk before. You might seem that opportunities come so easily, but this is not the case. I've also been rejected many times, and that success comes only after trying a lot. Like, I was rejected first for the FOSSI fellowship, which I later got after trying for a second time. I tried for GSOC 2 times. I've been rejected for both times for GSOC. I tried for internships and placements in Microsoft. And that not just Microsoft, but many other companies. And these are just a few examples. But yeah, so similar to this, it's not that the such opportunities come directly. There are many rejections which you have to face while you're trying, and you have to learn from each of these rejections in your from each of these rejections, and then only you will be able to finally get that opportunity. So don't feel ever dejected when you're rejected by one opportunity, but just keep trying, keep your faith, and definitely one day or the other you will get your call. Yips. So this was about my journey, and now I'll be talking about the clubs in the college, which I feel is quite an integral part for any student in NITK. So I'm a part of the following three clubs: IEEE, Artist Forum, and Web Club. AF I joined in my first year, and IEEE and Web Club in my second year. Now, my take on clubs is that clubs, it's not necessary to be always necessary to be a part of the club. I have many friends who are not part of any club but are quite successful and they are enjoying. So, but I found clubs to be particularly beneficial for me. It is an individual perception for everyone, and the major benefit which I got from the club was the network I developed. And I'm quite glad to say that I got few great seniors and some great juniors as well, whom I regularly interact with. And it's not that learning is one way. They they even learn. My juniors learn from me. I even learn from my juniors, and the same is the case with my seniors. And networking is one of the best thing which I think a clubs give us. And the second thing is that awesome project which I worked on. So in IEEE, there are in my first year I was mentored in projects. In second year again I was worked on projects. I worked on few projects which were directly mentored by the third years, and in third year I again proposed my own project which I worked on. So these projects were really a great learning experience. So this was quite projects are definitely beneficial, and it's a great learning curve, and you have all the support needed to learn anything. And again, Web Club has been really amazing for me. Like I've been quite interested in development, and so it provided me with a lot of opportunities. From I have worked on the instant website and all, and in each of these, I was always fearless to ask my seniors for any clarification or any doubt. Questions will definitely come while learning, so it is important to get them clarified. And because I asked the questions, all of those got cleared for me. So that was an AF is like a fun part for me. Like I worked there, I used to hang out with people there. It's just in IEEE and Web Club also it happens, but yeah, AF is something non-technical part of it, non-technical part of my experience. It's kind of a break for me whenever I feel a bit exhausted. My AF fellows are always there for me, and we used to hang around and chill. And also there's some evenings work. So yeah, the club should be a mix of everything. It can be the music or dance, and it's not necessary to be a part of a club, but yeah, there should definitely be breaks where you're enjoying other things also, and not just focus on technical stuff. Otherwise, that will leave you completely exhausted. Doing that, yeah, hackathons. Yeah, I have always loved hackathons, and whenever I got an opportunity to participate in one or the other, I always did. These are few which I participated. I participated in Microsoft Code Fund for 2 years in my second and third year. So I never won in it, but yeah, especially in my second year, I learned a great deal of it. Like we were making some disaster management application. And there were a lot of new things that I learned that time. I got stuck in many places. We as team sat until morning, like we spent all nighters making our application, and it was really a fun experience. I even participated in Hackverse, and in Hackverse, luckily my team got a first runners-up position. There we again made a application which would be alerting during times of earthquake and sending us over a safe area where it is an open area. So again, this was an amazing experience for me. And as such, that has always been special. I've participated in it 2 times. The first time we traveled to Orissa for it, and so that was in my second year. So things got quite messed up that time because we were all new to it, and things didn't go on as planned. But yeah, we enjoyed a lot, and that was also quite a nice learning experience for all of the team members. We are 6 of us, and so, but we didn't want that time, and we came back, and yeah, I again participated this time in SIH. So this time also it was going to be physical, but later due to pandemic, it got shifted. Shifted to be a virtual one, and yeah, but luckily this time. There were 4 phases in it. First was the internal college hackathon. Second was the idea submission, where the best ideas would have been selected. And third was the final grand finale. And each of this round was a really great experience. Like we, as a teamwork, like this is where I feel that we actually demonstrated a great teamwork, and this would not have been possible with everyone's contribution in the team. So I luckily had a great team. So this was my hackathon experience, and I would always recommend participating in hackathon because that is a place where you learn a lot, and within a short time you put all your brain cells to work, and then that time some really good things come. And even when a hackathon gets completed, there might be cases where the application didn't work as you intended to. So just don't leave the project there, just take it forward from there and complete to make it something useful. So that would give you that would actually make you feel quite happy. So, and I have always tried doing that in my hackathon projects, and I really enjoy doing those. Finally, miscellaneous, like I'll talk about my take on clubs. As I told, clubs I've told a bit about it, but in clubs, if I had to tell it in one line, you get what you give to a club. Like if you're active in a club, then you will be learning a lot from it. But if you're just a member of a club and not participating in any events or not doing the projects and all, then it is better to not be a part of the club. That in that case, you would be more at an advantageous position. So clubs are always a place where if you give more, you will get more from it, and you'll have an awesome experience. And seniors are always approachable in a club, irrespective of what the club is. You can always reach out to seniors and ask them for help, and they would definitely be quite happy to guide you. My take on CGPA, as you saw that my CGPA is not high, but yeah, it is always better to keep your CGPA as high as possible, but it also depends, like if in keeping your CGPA so high you're compromising on other things. If you think that just because of to keep your CGPA so high you have to you're not being able to learn anything more, you're just focused on academics to get those extra pointers, and you're not able to learn anything on yourself, you're not able to participate in anything, then it is you have to make a choice. Honestly, a high CGPA is always better, and that is especially quite required if you are planning for higher studies. But if you think that you just want to go for a job, then for a job after your college, and you think that you have a lot of other things to explore, then maybe you can slack on it a bit. But yeah, it's always good to have a high CGPA, and that's an individual choice, and it again depends on what is your life goal. And for resume, it's always encouraged to have a single page resume. This is, I'm telling from my experience, as double page, more than one page resume is quite frowned upon by recruiters, and a few recruiters have told me themselves, whom I got a chance to interact with, that if there is nothing as meaningful which makes your resume extend to the second page, then just remove that part and keep it to a single page, and try getting your resume reviewed from your seniors. I have got a lot of my resumes reviewed, and from my seniors who even left our college. Like there was a senior who is currently in US pursuing his master's, and his name is Vilas. So he helped me scale down my resume to remove all the non-necessary parts from it and make my resume look really good. So the reviews always help, and not just Vilas, but I got my resume reviewed from many other seniors also, and each of the seniors have helped me make my resume quite better. So try getting it reviewed, and try having it try always having it as a single page, and keep your profiles updated. It's because I've been sharing an experience where I got an opportunity through LinkedIn. Because my LinkedIn profile was updated, the recruiter reached out to me for an internship opportunity. So it's always better to have your profiles updated. The GitHub, LinkedIn, these are primarily two. And if you have a portfolio website, then that is also good. So you should always try to keep them updated. And if you're aiming for an corporate opportunity, then you should definitely try to keep your DSA and competitive programming strong, and you should follow good coding standards, because that is what a company looks for while selecting the candidates. And you might be good in your web development or machine learning, but the sad part is that if your DSA is not strong, the companies really don't care about it, because to reach to a second round, you have to clear the first round, which is generally based on DSA only. And it is also good to keep DSA and CP strong, because it helps you evolve your thinking skills and solve problems in a more dynamic way and in a much more simpler way. So it always enhances your thinking ability. So it's always a good it's always advantageous to keep DSA strong. And as per your interest, try taking up courses online. Even if you think that paid courses are not for you, then YouTube also has some great tutorials which you can look into. And yeah, and one of the best thing which I would like to tell is that you should try to build your network. And you don't never know that when your network would be quite advantageous. I have been lucky to have a great network of seniors and juniors in my over my experience, over my journey. So, and they have always helped me whenever needed. So it's always advantageous to have a great network. Yep. Thank you. And you can reach out to me, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me here. And I'm open for questions if any. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh, for the great talk. One of the questions which was posted is, do you have any specific sources for where you can start learning DSA from?
DSA, like Geeks for Geeks, is a great platform where solutions for first you should definitely try solving your questions on interview bit or lead code. There are questions based on difficulty tracks, easy, medium, hard. You can start with the easy ones. So and start with it, and if you get stuck, there are editorial to it. Just look into the editorial once yourself. Just look into hints, then the solution. Try coding it up before seeing the actual code. If you are not able to do it, then look into the code, and once you got the code, then just don't leave the problem after seeing the code, but try again coding it yourself. This will help you keep the solution in mind, so that in future also, if you encounter a similar problem, you can think along the same lines. And another source is Geek for Geeks. Geek for Geeks also has some great explanations for the questions and all.
Okay. Another question is masters required to work in ML?
Masters required to work in?
ML.
No, it's always generally, if you are looking for a big corporate company like Google and Microsoft, they generally, if you go to your careers website, then you will see that they generally prefer candidates having a master's degree or a PhD degree in AI and all for their roles. So in such companies, generally, yes, they generally don't select BTech students. Exceptions are always there, but yeah, it's not mandatory. But in small companies, you can get such opportunities if you're not having a master's there. But in big companies, it's always encouraged to have one.
Cool. I hope that answered everyone's questions. Thank you for joining in, guys.
Thank you.
I guess that ends our talk for today. I shall post all the email IDs in the YouTube video so that you can reach out to any of our seniors in case needed. Thank you for joining in, guys. Bye.